Well, hello, brothers and sisters. I'm going to do another read. This is the man behind the curtain, Dwayne Eugene Kirkland. Let's see. I think I'm going to pick no immunity. That's going to be the key word, immunity, for now. We'll start on with that. And again, this is out of my studies of Carl Miller. He's the one that should be credited to all this wisdom. But every time I make these videos and read this stuff, it's educating and making my mind stronger on understanding this stuff. So let me see if I can find my spot here. Okay. This stuff is just gold, I'm telling you, man. This wisdom, knowledge is very powerful. Okay, special. Okay, that's under special argument developed. I don't want to share that one just yet. Okay, so it's the next one. Let's see, special argument developed. Let's see, it's got to be here next somewhere. Okay, here we go. I finally found it. Okay, we're going to get into no immunity. Okay, so now that you've won, so you went to court, you won, you filed your motions, and you won. They just dismissed it for whatever reasons on your battle for traffic infraction or whatever reason you went to court. Now that you've won and your rights have been violated, the next thing they will claim is, well, we acted in good faith. We had good faith reliance that you broke the law, and that means you can't sue us. That is a lie. Since these, it says, that's a lie. Since these two cases, Owen versus City of Independence, 445 U.S. 662, 1980, and Maine versus Thibodeau, 448 U.S. 1 in 1980 case. So these two cases right here that are brought up says basically what these two cases say were plain language of a statute supported by consistent judicial interpretation is strong. It is not necessary to look beyond the words of the statute. It says these are both civil right cases. The right of the action created by statute relating to depriving or diminishing your rights under the color of law, under color of state law, of a right secured by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America. I always put America because there's a distinctive difference between United States versus the United States of America, believe it or not. The United States of America is in harmony with all 50 states except for District of Columbia, which is a foreign state. It's even though they say it's Washington D.C., it's not really American. A lot of people don't know that, but the gig's up. Okay, so the United States of America says encompasses claims which are solely based on statutory violations of federal law and applied to the claim that claimants had been deprived of their rights in some capacity to which they were entitled. So any time that you do in a timely manner during due process, traffic infractions, any time they want to pull you into the court, those lower inferior courts, they basically, if you can prove that they violated any of those provisions in your Constitution or your state Constitution or at any level, state or federal, you need to make sure it's on record, it's filed, and documented, and put it on the record. So now, whenever this happens, folks, you must understand something that goes for both of these cases. Owen was a police. Now it's going to get into a little bit of merits about that Owen case, the Owen and Independence case. Let's see. It says Owen was a police chief in the town of Independence, Montgomery or Massachusetts, whatever MO, I'm not sure, but he got into a gripe with the city council, and they fired him without just cause. Owen turned around and sued. They claimed that they acted in good faith. The Supreme Court said, "You are deemed to be officers of the law. You are to advise us of the law. You can hardly claim that you in good faith for willful deprivation, diminishing of the law, and you certainly can't claim ignorance of the law, because a citizen out here on the street can't claim ignorance of the law. It makes the law look stupid if an officer of court or some officer of government doesn't know the law, and then they go ahead and abuse somebody's constitutional rights." They actually do it all the time. But a lot of people don't know that and don't say nothing. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to read again what the Supreme Court said in so many words under this. Again, this is the Supreme Court said, "You are deemed to be officers of the law. You are to advise us of the law. You can hardly claim that you, in good faith, for willful deprivation of the law, and you certainly can't claim ignorance of the law, because a citizen out there on the street can't claim ignorance of the law. It makes the law look stupid if an officer of the court or some officer of government doesn't know the law, and then they go ahead and abuse somebody's constitutional rights." So in matters of constitutional rights, both cases uphold one point. Okay? Whenever you violate your constitutional rights, or whenever they violate your constitutional rights, or whoever violates constitutional rights, it doesn't matter who it is, if it happens, it says your constitutional rights, they do so at their own peril. It even says that at Title I, 8, Section, Title I, not Title I, excuse me, I'm sorry, I should know this right at the top of my head without even seeing this, but it's Title 18, U.S., Section 241, 242. Now this is what this criminal charges you can apply to them and flip it around on them if they violate your rights. And this is the case. Those two cases I said, and then the actual charges of the case is under Title 18. Title 18, U.S. 241, 242. Okay, now this is what it says. It says that upon conviction you are subject to a $10,000 fine, 10 years in jail, or both, and if death results, life in prison. They are telling you don't violate somebody's rights. See how powerful that is? The government can't violate your rights, but they do it all the time because nobody knows and everybody does. They get away with it. And you know what? They're so programmed and they think they can get away with it, and it's like they rob people and they get away with violating rights over and over. Then all of a sudden, some guy like me figures this out and goes and questions it. It's like they really think they can get away with it, but then again, once you fight this in a timely manner, it exposes them, and then you can file charges on them. Every time I've flipped it around and became the prosecutor, first of all, people, you need to know this. I was a hobo, a poor guy. I struggled. I've been encroached. I'm a victim for many years. And one day I decided to say, I just gave up, honestly. I gave up, and I said, you know what, I'm going to fight. And I'm going to stand up, and I'm just going to start doing tests and see what works. What does I was in jail many times. I didn't care, and then I just gave up. But finally, I come across Carl Miller's stuff, and I actually tested it out. And then I kind of thrown my own little things in there, what I've learned on my own, and did tests to see what would work. And I found out that if you flip it around and put yourself, when they pull you in there, and you put yourself as the plaintiff and them the victims, and you list them, you list yourself as a plaintiff and they are the defendants, and you list them as the defendants, and you flip it around and you act like the prosecuting attorney, and you bring this stuff up and put it in writing and file it and put it on the record, you will find they will take it off the record immediately. They don't want to be charged. They don't even want to be exposed for the fraud. And a lot of times they turn the cheek, or it doesn't even go any further. It's dismissed, dropped. Anyways, that's what usually happens. Okay, so Title 42. Now here's another one. It says Title 42, Section 1983, 85, and 86 clearly establish your right to sue anybody that does that. So you can actually sue anybody that violates your rights. It says now they are going to claim that you can't sue them because they have judicial immunity. Well, those cases we just discussed, they don't have immunity if you apply those cases and those techniques. It says now they're going to claim that you can't sue them because they have judicial immunity. Well, guess what? These two cases remove judicial immunity. There is no judicial immunity for violating someone's rights. It's that simple. And they get you find a nice attorney that's greedy and want to make a lot of money, you can sue him $50,000 per provisions that they violate, or even $10,000 per violation. I told an attorney, John Bell, that I ran into one day, and just I went to, actually my first trial that I ever had was him, and it really wasn't a trial because I didn't really know what the heck I was doing, but I still went along with just to learn, and figured some things out, and now I know if I ever have to go to trial again for myself or for somebody else, I know what to do a lot better than I did for the first time, even though I did win, but some people would say I didn't win but I look at it as a win because I didn't have to pay no money, and I didn't have to go to jail. So I got a small fine for course fees. They found me guilty, whatever, but it was actually an illegal thing, so it wasn't bound. And now, since I went through that jury trial over a driver's license issue, I can never be tried for the same offense again, regardless if I was convicted or not convicted. Even if I would have won, but I lost, according to them, they wanted to put it on the news like that to lose, but I really won. I believe I won. They wanted to make sure the public gets a different propaganda of it, in Montana. So. They don't want the people to know about it. So anyways, judge, you are deemed to know the law and swear to uphold it. You can hardly claim it. You acted in good faith for willful deprivation of the law, and you certainly can't claim ignorance of the law. For that would make the law look stupid for a knowledgeable judge to claim ignorance of the law when a citizen on the street can't claim ignorance of the law. So therefore, there is no judicial immunity. These cases have been on the books since 1982. So when someone says they can violate your rights with impunity, okay, now there's a distinctive difference between immunity and impunity. So I don't know if that's just a misspelled word here or not, but immunity or impunity says you just smile and say, "Make my day." So basically, you want to put it on the record in a timely manner. And a lot of times the attorneys that get appointed to you, they don't want to do that stuff because they're on their side. They're in collusion. They are, all of them are against you. Their whole main purpose is for the banker to collect money off you for basic necessities of life that you live. And that's what they do. They capitalize on it. And they've been doing it for so long. And they seem to think it's okay. But I got news for them. There's a rude awakening, especially people that listen to my readings and this discovery I share with them. It's just outstanding wisdom, and it's just wonderful to know. But anyways, I'm going to go on now to, okay, that was a little bit about immunity. You got those cases that you can sue them if you have proof that they did violate your rights. So it's always good to keep good records and everything that happens, record, and so that way you have evidence. And they'll try to trick you during the due process in many different ways, but that's a whole nother reading, different story, and a lot more information to share with you on that. Okay, now we're going to go over, let's see, how many minutes have we got here? We're up to 15 minutes on that read right there, my elaboration and my wisdom thoughts, or my thoughts, I'll just say that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about construed in your favor. Construed in your favor. It says the next case we want to talk about is Briars versus United States, 273 U.S. 28, 1927. So this is a 1927 case we're going to mention right here. Okay, this is a search and seizure case which sets constitutional standards, which we talked about in the amateur cases. Okay, amateur sections. So I especially want you to pay attention to note number 3 here. Constitutional provisions for the security of a person and property are to be liberally construed. And it is the duty of the court to be watchful for constitutional rights of citizen, I say private citizen, common citizen. I don't like to say the 14th Amendment citizen, because that's the corporation citizen that we were tricked into. That's another whole story to get into. Okay, and it is the duty of the court to be watchful of the constitutional rights of a citizen and against any stealthy encroachment and therein. Okay, so that case alone right there, if you think that you're being violated any way, encroachment or infringement or violation of your any provisions that you're entitled to under your contract of the Constitution, this case right here locks it in and you can use it. I mean, you have to read it and get the merits of it and find out what the whole merits of it is, but actually the disposition and final judgment of the judge's rulings, the disposition of it, the final say will be saying that they can't basically violate any of your provisions or any of your constitutional rights, and that the courts are obligated to construe in your favor. So you get that? That's kind of cool, I think. Okay, so against any stealthy encroachment, and they do it all the time. They do it to people every day. Okay, so see, liberty construed. It is in the duty of the court to be watchful for the constitutional rights of the citizen and against any stealthy encroachment therein. Remember that. This case, Briars versus United States, 273 U.S. 28, a 1927 case. Okay, it says when federal officer participates with a state official in a search so that is substance and in effect it is their joint operation. So they're talking about a search warrant, maybe, if somebody being a joint operation from 2 different institutions, we'll say the FBI, CIA, or the local sheriff's department. It says the legality of the search and the use and evidence of things seized is to be tested in federal prosecutions, as it would be if the undertaking were exclusively the federal agent. Okay? It says the reality here is what they are setting is the standards must be liberally construed in favor of the citizen. Okay, now here we're back to the citizen again. What are you? What am I? A peasant, the poor, whatever title you want to be. But you are a private person, common law person. Okay? You're not a citizen of the United States itself, corporation. Because if you're a United States citizen under the corporation, under the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause, then you're entitled to all of their privileges. And I'm going to tell you right now, you don't want to be guaranteed all their privileges. You want to be guaranteed your constitutional provisions, that the limitations are that the government is bound to. Kind of see what I'm saying here? I know it's going to throw a flip-flop, but hey, that's it. Okay, it's the duty of the court to make sure that happens. So now, you have a right to be wrong. You have a right to enter your viable defenses that you honestly think. No state can turn that right into a privilege and issue a license and fee. And if they do, you can't ignore the license and fee. Okay? They must prove the burden of proof of willfulness which they cannot do. Now, willfulness, if you look it up in the Black's Law Dictionary, that's an evil intent, or it's elements of an actual crime, and you'll find in elements of a crime there's no victim, no property damage, or evil intent or willfulness. Okay? If they do violate your rights, you do have a right to sue them. Owens versus City of Independence, Maine versus Thibodeau. They have to give every consideration to you, and that's the way it is. But if you don't know, it's what they say it is, right? Yeah. So now you know. Okay, so the next case we want to talk about is Boyd versus United States. 16 U.S. 616. The court is to protect against encroachment of constitutionality or security, liberty. It is equivalent to a compulsory production of papers to make the non-production of them a confession of the allegations which is pretended they will prove, and a lot of times that will happen in federal cases. They will claim. So they, in so many words, they'll lie. The feds and all them, they'll turn your words and everything against you to lie against you, because that's their job. That's what they do. So just remember that. It says something they won't prove it. It's happened to me. Okay, now he's saying an example. Believe me, and the fact that they have claimed it makes it true, and then of course you have to prove it negative, which is impossible. So they're lies. So you get those institutions. So now the seizure or compulsory production of a man's private papers to be used in evidence against him is equivalent to the compelling to him to be a witness against himself. That's in the Fifth Amendment process and due process clauses. That's a violation of the Fifth Amendment. There it is, right there. It says, and in a prosecution for a crime, penalty or forfeiture is equally within the prohibition of the Fifth Amendment. So read your Fifth Amendment, people. It's very important. If they violate anything in that Fifth Amendment, then you go back to those cases in your argument for to submit timely manner on the record that they violated your Fifth Amendment. Or any amendment, 1 through 10, or the key ones is the ones 1 through 10. And the ones they violate all the time that people know about is the Fourth Amendment. They violate the Fifth Amendment. They violate your First Amendment, because actually just the First Amendment alone stipulates life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. If you can bring and plug your situation into life, liberty, pursuit, and happiness, and they're obstructing your life, liberty, pursuit, happiness, guess what? They violated your provision. And boom, you got them. Just there's one provision right there, then under the First Amendment that they violated. Boom, $50,000 lawsuit. Split it with some crooked attorney and go for it. If you can find one, that'll do it. They usually don't turn on their own. But another case you should know is the Miranda versus Arizona. How many minutes are we into this here? We're into 23 minutes. Okay, we'll read a little bit more and then we'll do a closer on it. It says, another case you should know is the Miranda versus Arizona. This is a really important case. 384 U.S. 436, a 1966 case. And if I remember right, there's more than one Miranda versus Arizona cases. But this is the top of the line, one of the top of the line. This is one of the most important things that I'm going to tell you. The Miranda decision is a heavy-duty case. Every American should know this case forward and backward and inside out. Okay? So they're really stipulating the Miranda case here. Okay, now here's what the Miranda case. Miranda, this is the one that says you have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. You have the right to have your attorney present during questioning. Anything you say can and will be held against you on a court of law. If you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you by the court. Do you wish to make any statement on your behalf, and do you understand the rights? I have spoken to you. Okay. If you did understand it, do you want to keep your mouth shut? You don't say anything. You just say your request for your advocate or attorney or whoever, and you don't say nothing, because whatever you say is going to be used as you in court of law. It says, as soon as they start talking to you, they are required to say that. Okay, the Miranda warning. It says if they don't say that, they screwed up. If they haul you to jail and they don't tell you this, read it to you, and then they want to make you sign a little statement that you know your rights and you knowingly waive them. please, folks, don't sign that statement. Never sign anything, okay? If you do sign anything, put under duress, UD, and then your signature. Or use a code. Like I use a code. It's called UCC 1-207, 1-308, without prejudice. That's what I use under my name. That's just claiming that I'll take your paperwork or what you say, but it's not I'm not waiving any of my rights. I want all my rights. That's guaranteed to me under the compact agreement between the states of the United States of America. Okay? Okay, so don't sign anything. Do not sign that statement. Ever. It says you are knowingly waiving your constitutional rights. Don't ever do that. As soon as you hear those people talking like that, you tell them, oh, I want an attorney, and I'm not saying anything until I have an attorney, especially if you are talking to the federal people like BATF. These people will lie, cheat, and steal, and do anything they can to hammer you. Their whole purpose in life is to hammer you. I don't want you to think, oh, what nice guys. Maybe we can work this out. Why don't we just talk and maybe we can get things worked out? You don't talk to these people, folks. When you talk to them, you will learn the hard way. Do not talk to these people ever. I don't care if you think you are a nice guy and you want to be courteous. If you think you're going to work it out, or if you think you can talk to them and you are smarter than them, I don't care. You don't talk to them, period. Okay. Real quick, I'll read a couple more sentences and then we're going to have to call it. This is, it's when you open your big mouth that you get in trouble. Not that you would do anything wrong anyway, but they'll twist, lie, cheat, and steal and make it into something you didn't do. And before you know it, you won't even recognize what's happening. I'm telling you, it's happened to me. Okay? Now let's look at the Miranda decision. Now it's going to talk about the Miranda decision. In the absence of other effective measures, the following procedures to safeguard the Fifth Amendment. So the Miranda rights is part of the Fifth. It protects the Fifth Amendment. So read the Fifth Amendment. Fifth Amendment privileges. That way you know what they violate. If they ever violate the Fifth Amendment and in the Miranda rights too, then you got them. There's two of them there. Must be observed. The person in custody must, prior to interrogation, be clearly informed that he has a right to remain silent and that anything he says will be held against him in a court of law. He must be clearly informed that he has a right to consult with a lawyer and have a lawyer with him during interrogation questionings, during the questions. Do that, please. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Now, I want to close real quick. The main thing I want to say is those case laws that I covered with you, utilize them in a timely manner to fight for your situation if you felt that any provisions or violations were violated. Okay, that's number one. Number two, learn those cases. Learn the Miranda versus Arizona case. So that way, when you encounter police officers or any kind of government officials, automatically plug that rule in. Here's the rule. There's a three rule. Keep your mouth shut, keep your mouth shut, keep your mouth shut. Remember that. Request for an attorney and keep your mouth shut. As simple as that. Okay, and the other thing is well, I'll leave it at that, and hopefully you'll understand some of the information that I gave. I want to say thank you for listening, and I hope you listen to my little short videos and take the wisdom and utilize it and stand up for the Constitution. I want to say I love you. God bless you. God bless the United States of America, and God bless Trump, and support and stand for our constitutions of the sister states, all in harmony, and the Supreme Constitution of the United States of America. Not the Constitution of the United States, but the United States of America. Okay, people? Thank you.